Hi, today we're going to talk about the Louisiana Purchase. By the end of the video, you should be able to answer these three questions. So you might want to take a minute, write down the questions, so as you're watching the video, you can answer it. First, identify at least two impacts of the Louisiana Purchase. Second, what philosophic dilemma did Jefferson face when purchasing the land? And finally, was Jefferson a hypocrite or just making a good political decision? And give evidence to support your answer. You ready? Here we go. So the story starts over the city of New Orleans, which is in Louisiana. It's down south. Very important port city for the United States at that time. It was owned by Spain, and we were okay with that because Spain was very laissez-faire and allowed Americans to import and export and do business through the port. So we didn't have any problem. Everything had been fine. Then it comes to President Jefferson's attention one day that there was a secret treaty between Spain and France. Spain gave New Orleans to France, who was ruled at that time by Napoleon Bonaparte. So Napoleon was someone who wanted to rule the world. He had been conquering much of Europe, and he also had his eye on the New World. So his long-term plan would be to come here as well. So the fact that Napoleon now controlled New Orleans was not good news for the United States. So Jefferson sent James Monroe to France and told him to try to buy New Orleans. He could spend up to $10 million, and then the United States would have control of that important port city. Well, long story short, Napoleon decided to cut his losses in the New World and get more cash so that he could continue his military efforts in Europe, and offered Monroe not just New Orleans, but all the land north of it as well that they controlled. And after haggling for a couple of weeks, they came up with a deal for $15 million. Madison comes back. He tells Jefferson about this proposed deal, and Jefferson had a problem. Traditionally, Thomas Jefferson has been what's called a strict constitutionalist. And what that means is that he believed if the Constitution didn't specifically say that the government could do something, then they can't do it. If it's not in the Constitution, then the national government does not have that power. In fact, he had a big fight with Alexander Hamilton when Washington was president because Hamilton wanted to create a national bank. And Jefferson was all kinds of, no, it's not in the Constitution, you can't do it. Now, suddenly, just a few years later, Jefferson is considering doing exactly the same thing. So, what should he do? He decides to take the deal. It's way too important for the prosperity and safety of the United States. He accepts the treaty and buys what is to become the Louisiana Purchase for $15 million. This doubles the size of the country overnight. 800,000 square miles is what we bought from France. 1 mile is 5,280 feet. That's a lot. 800 square miles is over 4 billion feet. We gained control of not just New Orleans, but also the Mississippi River, which is an extremely important river that runs north and south through the whole country. If you look at the map in the upper right-hand side, you can see it goes from New Orleans all the way up. Major accomplishment. Very important to farmers who want to send their products down to New Orleans. And it is the start of our westward expansion. Now that we own all this land, frontiersmen, all kinds of people looking for gold and silver, and people just looking to make their fortunes will start moving out west until we finally become the United States that we know today, from sea to shining sea. Also, in 1804, right after the Louisiana Purchase deal was closed, President Jefferson sent out two men, Lewis and Clark, Meriwether Lewis and William Clark, on an expedition to map out all of this new land that we had. No one knew what was out there, and he sent them out. They were out there for 2 years. They faced extreme harsh weather, starvation, disease, injuries, but they came back, and it was considered a big success because it provided new geographic and ecological information about the land in the middle of, well, it was west then, and now it's in the middle of the country. So that was another outcome of the Louisiana Purchase. So back to the 3 questions. Hopefully you can answer all 3 of them. And because you were so good and watched the video and paid attention, it's time for a corny riddle. I always end my videos with a corny riddle because I really like them. This is a good one. What do you call a blind dinosaur? I don't know. What do you call a blind dinosaur? A do you thinkysaurus? Get it? Thank you so much for watching the video. Come back for my next one.